Going into Sunday night's game against the Steelers, Dallas was down their wide receiver 2, Brandon Cooks. And although he hasn't had a big game this year, that certainly wasn't good for a wide receiver room that has been heavily criticized this year, myself included. With Cooks out, Tolbert was forced to step in as the wide receiver 2. Then the Cowboys asked Kavontae Turpin to step into that wide receiver 3 role. And boy, did both of those guys step up in a big way on Sunday night, which leads me to ask the question, have the Cowboys kind of figured out this wide receiver room? Jalen Tolbert finished the night as the Cowboys' leading receiver, 7 catches for 87 yards, and the big touchdown catch on 4th down to seal the game. Kavontae Turpin finished with 4 catches for 50 yards on 5 targets with a long of 34. I have been begging since week 1 that at least one Cowboys receiver steps up and makes plays behind CeeDee Lamb. It was something that I talked about that could potentially change the offensive dynamic, and we kind of saw it come true on Sunday night. Of course, the red zone offense wasn't good, but Dallas had no problems moving the ball against Pittsburgh. At one point, they had 5 drives of 50 or more yards. And despite only scoring 20 points and having opportunities for a lot more, I thought that they were good on offense. I don't know if that's crazy to say or not. Does the red zone stuff kind of undo some of the good things? Maybe a little bit, but overall, I was impressed with what they were able to do, especially when you had Turpin and Tolbert acting as your number 2 and 3. And a big reason that Dallas was able to move the ball was because of the wide receiver play. Lamb had an insane sideline catch on an absolute dime by Dak. Tolbert had a deep catch down the sideline for 48 yards to get into Steelers territory. Kavontae Turpin had a 34-yard catch down the seam to set up an opportunity for points. That unit was making plays when Dak gave them the opportunity, and he gave them a lot of opportunities. Tolbert stepped up, Turpin stepped up, and CeeDee Lamb played well. But there's one reason that I'm so optimistic about what we saw, and why I feel good about this offense moving forward. It's what they were able to do without targeting CeeDee Lamb in the second half. Lamb had just 1 catch after halftime, and unfortunately, that has kind of become a trend for this offense over the first month of the season. They seem to move away from Lamb as the game goes on, or teams just step up, start bracketing and doubling him to try and stop this offense. And it has worked in weeks past, but it didn't work in this game. 1 catch in the second half, but the offense really didn't miss a beat. They could still move the ball, which is exactly what they should be able to do. With Tolbert, Turpin, Ferguson, Dowdle, hell, even Brevin Spann-Ford, they moved the ball. Everybody was getting involved. Everyone was making plays when they needed to. It was a beautiful thing to see. Now, I'm going to whisper this so people don't get mad at me and say that I'm hating or whatever. But I think Tolbert and Turpin as your 2 and 3 punch is probably better than Cooks as your number 2 at this point. That's a combination that I think can actually earn you some respect from defenses. And no, I don't really feel like that's recency bias to say. We've seen Cooks struggle at times to get open on comeback routes. Cooks doesn't really have that downfield threat in his bag anymore. And those 2 things we saw Tolbert and Turpin do on Sunday night. I'm not hating on Cooks. I'm not calling him washed or saying he can't be a factor at all. I'm not saying that. But the reality of the situation is he's over 30 years old. He's played 10 seasons in the NFL. It might be time to start letting younger guys get work at receiver. Before we continue, I wanted to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, BetUS. Football, basketball, ice hockey, baseball, whatever you need, BetUS has you covered. My favorite part is that you can filter by props, conferences, divisions, playoff specials, anything that you want. It's right there at your fingertips. So head over to BetUS and get an awesome deal with the deposit bonus and start playing this Sunday. They have an awesome promotion right now where you get a 125% bonus on your first deposit and then 125% on your next 2. And if you win, they have you covered with fast and easy payout. Thank you so much to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back in. These guys proved to me last night that they can be trusted as legit receivers. And it's probably time to start taking the training wheels off and letting Turpin and Tolbert make an impact. Are they going to make mistakes? Sure. But if they keep making plays, you live with the ebbs and flows of them being inexperienced young players. I think both of those guys combined offer you a lower floor than Brandon Cooks as your wide receiver too, but I also think they offer you a higher ceiling. I thought they were both fantastic last night, and hopefully they can keep that up going forward. I mean, when you can trust Tolbert, Turpin, CD, Jake Ferguson, Dak can move the ball with really good efficiency. Now we just got to get to the point that we're scoring points. It just changes the entire dynamic of this offense. For Turpin, he had a hell of a game. I said it before. I think that Turpin needed to kind of earn the respect of this coaching staff as a receiver. They like him as a punt returner, kick returner. I've always got the feeling that they don't really trust him as a guy that could see 5 to 7 targets in a game. However, I do think that this game earned him some kind of trust and respect with Mike McCarthy, with Brian Schottenheimer. And now, with Brandon Cooks out the next 3 weeks, not including the bye, it doesn't take off a week because you have a bye, I expect them to continue using Tolbert, Turpin, Ferguson, similar to how they did last night. And in the end, I think it'll make CD better because teams won't be able to focus solely on stopping him, and maybe they can get him going more in the second half of games. So let me know what you guys think down below. That's all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.